Hey everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet these cute and simple itty bitty bunny bags. They're super fun because they're just a drawstring bag with simple V-stitches to cause the different color stripes, and it has a drawstring, and when you pull that drawstring it kind of gets an egg shape. And then we add the little bunny ears. Now they measure about 4 by 6, so they're a great size to maybe put some candy and treats in, maybe some nail polish or some little lotions, maybe a gift card for your grandkids. And they're also a nice thing to put something special in to maybe give to someone who's been helping you, just to say thank you. I wanted to do this video because I think these are fun and cheerful, and it's a great way to use up some of your leftover yarn scraps. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog, and as usual it's down in the notes underneath this video. To make some of these sweet itty bitty bunny bags, you just need to raid your yarn stash. You can use any medium weight number 4 yarn. You can use cotton, acrylic, wool, blends, whatever you have on hand. It doesn't matter. You can use any medium weight number 4 yarns. I'm going to be using this striped. This is some leftover Red Heart Super Saver and some white, and I believe this is I Love This Yarn. Both are acrylic yarns, and it doesn't take very much. And you can, like, these are all mixed around different colors, and just have some fun and use your imagination and use up your yarn stash. We're going to be stitching today with my H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle to weave in ends and to sew on your bunny ears, and then you'll also need your scissors. We're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. So we'll put our tail of yarn over our hook and pull it through. And then we'll snug everything down and tie that stay knot. There we go. All right, now we're going to go in that chain 5, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to stitch 9 more so that we have a total of 10. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2. Looks like I got a string cut there. There we go. And go through the second 2. You will notice that I'm stitching over this tail of yarn. That way when I'm done I can pull that hole closed, and I'll show you when we get there. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 double crochets, because we counted our chain 3 as our first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now we're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and we're going to chain 3. And before we do row 2, we're going to turn this over. We're going to gently pull on that yarn tail and close up that hole, and then we'll just go ahead and take our needle and weave that in. We're going to have to weave it in anyway, so we might as well just go ahead and do it and close up that hole while we're there. Oops, guess I better get that back on there. Let's go back the way I came. Make sure it's in there nice, snug, and tight, and clip that off. All right, so now for row 1, I have 10 double crochets. I joined with my slip stitch to my chain 3 and chain 3. For row 2, we're going to be placing 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets. Our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll put a second double crochet right in that same stitch as our chain 3. And then we'll go right to the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets. And we'll do this all the way around. 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets. And I'm already liking how this yarn is striping. It's very spring looking, isn't it? All right, I'll just keep right on going, stitching 2 double crochets in each of my 10 double crochets. I stitched 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets around. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now for row 3, we're going to be doing what I call 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the first, 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, all the way around. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So in the next double crochet, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Then the next double crochet, we'll stitch 1. The next double crochet, we'll stitch 2. One double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next. And like I said, I like to call that 1 and 2. And it's like I've always said, it's not any professional term. It's just something to help me remember what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, so I'm just going to continue on around, stitching 1 double crochet in the next and 2 double crochets in the next, and repeat, working all the way around for row 3. 1 and 2. I have completed row 3. For row 1, we had 10 double crochets. For row 2, we had 20. And row 3, we have 30 double crochets. We're again going to join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch, but we're going to chain 4. And we're going to begin our V-stitches for row 4. So what we're going to do, this chain 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1, and we're going to double crochet in that same stitch. And that's our first V-stitch made. We're going to skip the next 2 double crochets and then stitch a V-stitch in the next. And the V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that same stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat around. Skip 2 double crochets, then V-stitch in the next, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Skip 2, V-stitch in the next. Skip 2 and V-stitch in the next. And 2 things are happening. We're making V-stitches, yes, but you're also going to see that your bag is starting to curl up. That's exactly what we want it to do in order to form the bag. So I'm going to continue on around stitching my V-stitches. Skip 2, V-stitch in the next, and repeat. I've completed row 4 with my V-stitches, and you should have 10 V-stitches. All right, Here's my last V-stitch, my last skip 2. I'm going to join to the 3rd chain of that chain 4 we began with. We'll join with the slip stitch, and then we'll go right in that chain 1 and stitch a slip stitch as well. Now, if you're going to change colors, you want to do this before we do our next chain 4. If you're not changing colors, go ahead and chain 4. I'm going to bring in my white for a couple of stripes of white alternated with this yarn just for a pop of color. Now, or contrast I should say, because white isn't a bright color, it's just a contrast. I'm not going to cut off my main color because I'm going to bring it in every other row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that attached. I'm going to go ahead and go in and slip stitch with the white and then chain 4. And again, if you're not changing colors, just go ahead and chain 4 and then do your double crochet to form your first V-stitch. I changed colors, so I had to go in and add a chain 4 in the next color. And what we're going to do on row 5 is we're going to go in the chain 1 spaces of the V-stitch and stitch a V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and each of the chain 1 spaces of our V-stitches. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet is our V-stitch, and we're stitching that in each of the chain 1 spaces of each V-stitch. And I chose to do the white because I wanted it to contrast with the spring green color. So I'll continue working all the way around. 1 V-stitch in each of the chain 1 spaces of the V-stitch from the previous row. I've completed row 5, which is our second row of V-stitches. And again, you should have 10 V-stitches. I joined to the 3rd chain of that beginning chain 4. I'm going to go in and stitch a slip stitch. I'm going to leave my white yarn attached, and I'm going to bring back in my spring green color and go in that chain 1 space and chain 4. Then I'll stitch my double crochet in that chain 1 space so that I have my first V-stitch made. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat a V-stitch in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch for 2 more rows. You can alternate your colors. You can leave your colors all the same color. You can change colors every row. Do it however you want to and come up with some really neat designs. I'm alternating mine with the spring green, the white. I'm going to do a row of spring green and then another row of white so that I have 4 rows of V-stitches in the center of my bag. I completed those 2 additional rows so that I have 4 rows of V-stitches. Each row should have 10 V-stitches. I joined to the chain 3, I slip stitched in the chain 1, and on this row we only chained 3, not 4. We're going to be stitching just a solid row of double crochet at the top of our bag. Our chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet. We'll place a double crochet in the double crochet. We'll place a double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we'll stitch a double crochet in the chain 1 space. So basically we're stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet and 1 double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces. And this will give us a nice solid row of double crochets so that we can put our drawstring through this row. One double crochet in each double crochet, and 1 double crochet in the chain 1 spaces, working all the way around the top of our bag. So I completed that row of double crochet around the top. I'm going to join to my chain 3. I'm going to tie off. And we'll bring our hook to the next stitch and pull that loop to the inside. There we go. So now we have a nice even edge to our bag. Yes, we need to come in and weave these ends in, but this is the way your bag should look at this point. Super cute, huh? All right, so now we need to make a tie. And it's really super simple. We're just going to chain 35 chains. So we'll make our slip knot and chain 35. I like to keep the drawstring just a little bit short in case it's going to be given to children. But if you would like to make the drawstring longer, you certainly can. I've chained my chain. I'm going to tie off. And now it's time to put this on our bag. Now you need to decide where you want to put it. You can put it in the front or you can put it to the side. I prefer to the side. And how I do that is I take my hook, and this is the side that I want it to be on. And so I'll just go every other one like this, every other stitch. And weave that through. And we'll do this all the way around and join back to the side and make a nice drawstring. Every 2 stitches and pull it through. I push it together and then I tie the ends together. If you want them to hang open, you can. I just like them tied. That way, messing around with the bag or getting played with, it doesn't come undone. So, there's my end I need to weave in. We'll tuck that in, pretend like we don't see that. Here's my drawstring. Looks like an egg, doesn't it? And it makes a nice bag just like that, but I want to add those bunny ears. All right, let's make those bunny ears. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 16 chains. And make sure you chain these just a little bit loosely because we're going to be working down both sides of the chain. So here's my chain 16. We're going to begin by placing a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go in that 4th chain, and we're going to stitch a double crochet. And then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each chain across. Almost there. All right, one and the last stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 double crochets because we began in the 4th chain from the hook and our chain 3 counted as our first. Now we're going to turn our work and we're going to stitch back down the chain on the opposite side. All right, let's make sure our tail yarn is out of the way, and we're going to place 2 double crochets in that first chain. There we go. And then we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of those chains, working back down the opposite or other side of our chain. And see how that looks? Okay, looks like we just need 1 more double crochet. Then we're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and we're going to cut our yarn. We're going to go behind like we did on the bag and pull that loop to the back and tie off. All right, now we need to take a second and weave these 2 ends in, because we want them out of the way when we put our bunny ears on our bag. So we're just going to go down. There we go. There we go. Looks like I pulled that over a little. And we'll cut that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. We just want those out of the way already. We don't want to have to come back in and weave those in later. There we go. All right, now there is our bunny ears. We're going to cut a piece of yarn about 10 or 12 inches long. We're going to squish up the center. And I like to fold it in half to make sure that I'm even. I don't want my bunny ears to be even. Unless you want it to be a silly bunny, then that's okay too. All right, then we'll just tie the center. Squish those down, and I like to put 3 knots, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Looks like I got a little bit of a tail there, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. Came out when I weaved in. So here's my bunny ears. Aren't they cute? Now, if you want them to be bigger, you can always add more chains on your beginning chain. I experimented with some that were bigger and some that were smaller, and I like this size, but of course you can do them what works best for you. All right, so here's our bag. We're going to use our needle, and we're going to place that just right inside that edge. I'm going to turn this over so you can see. We're going to take one of those ends with our needle, and make sure you don't go through your drawstring. Now, if you want to wait to put your drawstring till after you put your ears on, that's okay too. And so I'm going to go through there. I'm just going to make a little stitch in a stitch, and make sure it's in a stitch because we want it to hold snugly. All right, then we'll take the next end. Whoops, dropped my needle. And we'll go in the stitch that's next to it and do the same thing. We'll just make a little stitch. And I'm going to go to the back, make sure I'm not in my drawstring. All right, and then we're going to tie some knots. And what I do is I tie, again, those 3 knots, and then I check it to make sure it's going to stay secure. If it's not, you can always put more stitches. But I want them to be a little bit floppy. I don't want them to be perfect. All right, and there's your bunny ears. Now, if you feel like it's not going to stay put, you can always take your needle and do some more stitches. Just go back in where you came from. and go back through. You just want to make sure it's going to stay securely, especially if you're giving this to a child. You want it to stay securely so they can play with it. All right, now I'm going to pull those strings to the inside, and then I'll weave all this in with my needle. But this is how the itty bitty bunny bag looks when it's completed. Now, isn't that fun?